Now this is one thing about traveling on budget airlines like Ryanair and almost any airline out here that I just can't get my head around it. It's so much apprehension trying to decide.
Hi, I'm Julia, the wine.
Hi, I'm Samora, the rum.
We met in London, fell in love, and moved to Ireland.
We share tips on being an expat, travel, cultural experiences, and living life efficiently. Hi everyone, I'm the rum.
And I'm the wine.
So, here we're to talk about flying. Yeah, not to mention that it's summer, everyone's going to be jetting off in an airplane sometime soon. When I first came to Europe to study, one of the main things that students were telling me, international students especially, were about the cheap airline flights and all the wonderful destinations they were going to travel through during their study breaks. This was the first time I was introduced to Ryanair. In this video, we're just going to tell you a little bit, especially for those new to Europe, what's the deal, what's going on with European airlines.
Now, meanwhile, if you ask Europeans about stuff like Ryanair, they'll probably be like, please don't do this to yourself. Unless they hate you, then they'll probably tell you, yeah, do go away on a Ryanair flight. It's not a pleasant experience most of the time. But sometimes if you want to travel cheaply or you have to go somewhere urgently, it's the only choice you got.
Yeah, I heard it was really good for students. It's good for students, you know, if you're going away on a weekend, you don't need to carry any luggage. Interestingly enough, my first Ryanair flight was when I was going to Austria for the first time. Except Ryanair doesn't exactly fly to Austria, and this is one of the main differences of why the difference between a traditional and a budget airline. To go to Austria, luckily, Vienna, close enough to Slovakia and Bratislava especially. So, what I hopped on a plane from Bratislava, but not from Gatwick or Heathrow. No, I had to go out to an airport I didn't even know exists called Luton. So think about it. Student, big bag. I'm lugging around this huge suitcase from like 6 a.m. in the morning all the way up to Luton. Had people kind of laughing and joking at me as I'm struggling to go upstairs being like, what do you got in there, a dead body? And I'm like, no, a dead body might be lighter. I said that to some random passing man as he chuckled and went along his way.
So stuff like having to go to Luton, the reason budget airlines do that is because it's much cheaper to fly to destinations that aren't exactly in the city but conveniently have the name of the city in the airport name. So you think you're going to London, but really you're like, you get outside the airport and there's like fields, cows, whatever around you. And they do that with a lot of other cities as well. So if you're booking Ryanair or another cheap airline like that, do check on Google Maps or whatever maps you're using where exactly the airport is. Because you might think you're going to the city, but it's possibly quite far outside that.
Yeah, I like the joke she made, is like, hi, that you're using something other than Google Maps. Sorry, techie humor there. You know what side I'm on. Yeah, and so, first a traditional airline that, you know, flies to the main airport so you can get your connections and so on like that. That's one of the reasons that budget airlines are indeed cheaper. One of the other things I like to compare is pretty much comfort and speed. Now, you're thinking, I don't need to worry about comfort. Yeah, I didn't either until, for those who were watching for a couple of months, until I hurt the arm and hurt arm and neck. And then you've got to travel in an airplane without really a headrest. So you're in like kind of like some relative pain. So if you're, you know, if you're getting old like me, or got an injury or something like that, you may need to think, if I'm going to sit down somewhere, do I have any, you know, reason that I may want to be a bit more comfortable and not, for lack of a better term, suffer through, you know, being on board a flight that, you know, has not even comfortable seating.
Especially maybe you just want to get a nap because you want to hit the ground running at the destination you arrive, or you had to catch an early flight because those are usually cheaper. Sleep, like, is important. We've learned to choose sleep and comfortable over the cheap seats.
Now, considering the topic of speed, I know we're thinking, you're at an airport, everything's slow. But one of the interesting things is that with budget airlines, they don't give you perks. I'm from the Caribbean, so almost every flight I take is an international flight. So until I came here, I didn't know flights made you pay for your seats or, luggage. I thought if you want some extra luggage, you'd have to pay. I was thinking, oh wow, you actually have to pay for these things. And when you see that price start adding up, you're kind of like, okay, I get it. This is the business model. There you actually need to carry something with you. Tough luck. One of the interesting things is that since you can, have luggage that's small enough to carry you in the overhead locker, everybody does it. And we noticed that one of the airports recently, people are even doing priority booking because some people want to carry their, bag luggage onto the flight that people run out of space. Almost every flight we're on these days are kind of like, waiting for people to get their baggage up. It's kind of a delay. And the worst thing is if, you're probably not as tall to reach these things and you're like, yeah, sorry, the expression on my face just brought back a traumatizing memory. So
I've gotten laughed at by stewardesses and flight attendants before because usually the rule that they have is luggage has to be light enough for you to be able to lift it. Problem is if you're too short, no matter how heavy it is, and you're just trying to throw it in, sometimes people tend to laugh more than help.
Yeah, these are things. But to combat this, we've come up with an interesting plan because, as Julia mentioned, we like, relaxing, not using up all our energy on the way to a destination. So what we do now is that we have one piece of checked luggage, one piece of unchecked luggage. I know, sorry, if you're traveling in a pair or couples, it's the only time you can do this. Because one of the bigger holdups as well is like, when you're going through security, and you're like, do you have any liquids? Do you have all of that? This way, we just chuck everything into the checked bag. Don't need to worry about. Because after that once I was going through security and I forgot the scissors in my bag, I'm like, oops, I've been looking for that for months. I'm just like, throw it away. I like that scissors. I missed it. But this way, you get to go through security relatively easy. It's like, hi, here's my laptop, here's my camera, all the way through. Less stress. And usually when we're at our destination, we tend to wait for the bags because you know what happens since everybody has overhead luggage? You don't need to wait that long for checked luggage anymore. I can take a leisurely stroll and be like, oh hi. Because by the time you get to immigration, you were just seeing everyone there anyways. I'm like, hi. I know, it costs some more, naturally. It's the sort of thing where, like Julia would agree, you've got to balance a bit. Sure, you're spending the money, etc. But at the same time, savings, as well as give yourself a little bit less stress-free life. That's what we believe here,
Also with Ryanair, what they recently introduced is you only get one item to take as hand luggage, and that's about the size of a backpack. So unless you need something more than can literally fit in your handbag, you do need to check the baggage, or you need to get priority booking, and at that point it's like, whether you pay €2 more to check in an actual bag versus like have an additional backpack or something. It's like, comes down to the same thing.
Now this is one thing about traveling on budget airlines like Ryanair and almost any airline out here that I just can't get my head around. It's so much apprehension trying to decide, and that is whether or not to actually book seats. Now this gives me anxiety almost every time trying to figure out, hi, can I actually do this or not? Because for longer airline flights, what I usually do is, I check how much seats are there before, and that lovely, it increases from 24 to, depending on your airline, to like 36 hours before. Even if it's like at 4 a.m. and boom, I'm there. Be the first people like, I got our seats. Do that with budget airlines. I don't trust it as much. So almost every flight I'm like, should we book the seats or not? Because I'm on a plane. It's like, and all the scary articles that were going around for years, like, hi, Ryanair won't put you next to each other. It's like, I haven't even taken a chance. I've booked the seats. That's money they're taking from us but I can't take the risk. What I want to know is, for people who've been brave enough, have you actually been like, no, screw you, I'm not booking seats? What actually happens? Because we throw away some money every trip, making sure we get to sit next to each other, because there are some characters, there's some characters you hear about on these flights, and I don't want to sit next to them.
I would think it's like, because he wants to sit next to me, he's like, no, he just doesn't want to sit next to drunk people.
It's a win-win situation.
Another thing that was a lesson that took us a while to learn is that budget airlines aren't necessarily always the cheapest. So what we started doing is we always check different airlines, even if we're like, that sounds more like a posher airline that we normally wouldn't go on. We try and see if they have any deals, especially if we know we're going to be traveling like early on. Like we know we're going to be going back to Austria for Christmas, so pretty soon we'll probably start looking for flights for that. And oftentimes with the bigger airlines or like less budgety airlines, you can find really good deals. And a few times now we've gotten, for example, Aer Lingus flights that turned out to be way cheaper than going to Bratislava, especially if you add in all the other costs that you have with Ryanair that you don't. Well, sometimes you do have with Aer Lingus, but you don't have to get priority booking and stuff like that to take the same amount of baggage online. So I think it's something the budget airlines do deliberately to make it very hard to compare flight costs by having all these other add-ons where you need to go through the entire booking process to get to the last page to see what you would actually be paying. But if like trying to save money on a trip and trying to balance comfort and how much you're spending is really worth it to you, it can be worth it sometimes to really go all the way to the final page to see how much you'd be actually spending and then compare it to another airline. Often the difference is not very big, it's like maybe €10, and that's something you can easily spend often to have more comfort and not to have to go in Ryanair.
Yeah. Hi, we're in the headquarters. We love you, but same time we don't.
Yeah, if you're still not convinced or confused why people feel so strongly about Ryanair, we'll link you a song done by some Irish comedians down in the description. Just watch that, that'll explain a lot.
Ah yes, and with that, I think it's time to bid you adieu. Hope that this was helpful in some way. Anything that we're missing or your own experiences, please do comment below. And for now, rum out.
Wine out. Bye.
Bis später.